Hey 3DMJers, this is Andrea Valdez, and you're listening to the 3D Muscle Journey podcast. Today, I am talking to Brad Loomis and Alberto Nunez about lifestyle design for athletes. Kind of a cringeworthy term there, but it's the best way we could describe this whole notion of how to arrange your schedule, priorities, and actions to allow for the best possible chance of success in whatever athletic endeavor you're currently chasing. So, this isn't really a prescription of how to live or anything, but it's just a chill conversation between friends who are sharing the ins and outs of our days and discussing our own little neuroses and tips and tricks along the way. You'll hear us talk in depth about our daily routines and habits, everything we do leading up to our training, everything we do when we're done with it to ensure that we're all in a good place, our food selection and meal timings, our job choices, our financial spending, how our significant others affect our lives in sports, and a whole lot more. So I hope you guys like this one. Here's my conversation on lifestyle design for athletes with Alberto Nunez and Brad Loomis. So I think this will be important, this whole lifestyle design. But it's such a cringy word, lifestyle.
It is. It makes me think of like having a nice couch and like sitting on the couch and having like some sort of exotic tea.
Yeah.
And
with a really nice furry rug.
Yes. It feels like grass on your feet, you know.
Yeah.
That sort of
and a beautiful lady in front, like in a nice car.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some of those real fancy shoes you wear without your socks. You do that, Bert.
Do I? No, I don't.
Yes,
no,
huh?
I don't.
You
I
have
don't
like
do
these
a lot
leather
of,
Sperry's that you wear without socks. That you look all
the
fancy.
boat shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so hipster. Whoa. Yeah, you're right. That's what it is. The fitness hipsters, right? Fitness, that's another word, right?
Fitness hipster lifestyle.
Hipster Athletica. That could be the title of this one. That is such
But I think for the context of this, what we're talking about though is actually I don't know, kind of Jeff ended the last podcast talking about priorities. He was talking about children, but I think I think it applies to this too, is like how do you structure your life, your schedule, your priorities, your whatever else.
Yeah, where you spend your money, what you
Good point. Yeah.
emphasis on. Yeah, I mean all of that.
Yeah, good point. In order to, you don't say like achieve athletic success or whatever. I mean, kinda, but
yeah, get the most out of yourself, for sure. You know,
for your chosen sport or what have you.
Yeah. I always struggle with this conversation because, as you'll know, I'm an extremist. So it's like when I think lifestyle design or when I think prioritizing your sport, I take it to a level that's probably unlikely for most people. Unlikely, unnecessary, I think is what I meant. Unnecessary. Like, I think a lot of people would assume that the stuff I talk about typically on the show would mean, like, I'm an elite, like, training for, like, the Olympics or something stupid. And that's, like, not it at all, but that's just kind of, like, how I choose to live. And I know that there's a middle ground that most people need to be at. And I'd say you guys are closest to me.
I would say, and most people who actually are aware of just how all the time spent outside of the gym can affect your bottom line as an athlete. I think they all kind of feel the same way you do, in that they're like, I'm kind of a freak, you know?
Yeah.
But it's that's kind of, when I stop and think about what I do, kind of the same as you, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm middle ground. Like, others might see it that way, but I don't, because there's enough like weird neurotic things that I do that I feel help, and I make sure I execute those things as regularly as possible. So, no, I think I'm a freak like you. We'll see.
And I wonder if it's also because it's so second nature that it doesn't feel hard. Like when we're talking on the podcast to let people know the things we think about or the things we do, but in actuality, it's like subconscious and it's not even hard at some point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and a lot of us have been doing this for a lot of years too, in some capacity. So, yeah, it's like breathing. You do it long enough, it just happens.
Yeah. That's a good point. A lot of things on the podcast will sound crazy, but it's only because we're talking about them. But in practice, like if you were in Brad's house watching him all day, it wouldn't look like he's doing things to enhance his athletic endeavors, but like he is. So like no one watching Brad would be like he would just be like, all right, this dude's standing in his workstation. But if you actually know Brad and talk to Brad, it's like he either lays down or stands up because he knows that as an athlete, he has a harder time squatting if he sits too much and like things lock up.
Yeah.
But if you watch you, it's like nothing. It's just when you talk about the podcast, it sounds like a bigger, like you're going out of your way to be a better athlete when it's just like second nature.
Yeah. And I mean, we it's like that with everything, you know. We like the food choices that we make, you know. I mean, it's like, we're just eating. No, I'm eating protein because I need protein right now. I feel like I need protein, or, you know, in the morning we gotta fuel properly. You know, I think 10 podcasts ago or something like that. I think Berto, didn't you say that you find that you train best when you synthesize protein twice during the day?
Oh,
which I
it's ridiculous.
Eat it twice.
Well, no. Like, if I wake up like at 10 in the morning, it's like a spasm. Like, holy crap, that's like a protein feeding I missed. So you know, and I wake up and that's the first thing I do. And you know, it's like coffee to other people is to have that first protein shake for me, and then you know the day begins. But I don't think about it as like disciplined or odd. It's just
there's a reason you do it less. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's start with that, maybe, like how we start our day. Like, should we go tactical, or maybe like things we do in our lives that help us? I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all will have pretty different ones too, so this would be good. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Right now, do we all train in the first half of the day? Not yet for you, Bert, right? You're going to start that next month?
Not yet. Yeah, next month is the month.
Yeah. I've made the conversion, though. It's usually for the first half of my day, we'll say.
Same, as you know, because you've seen the first half of my day. So, like, because we know a lot of people that, you know, have to be at work at a certain time, like 5 days a week. So it's like, get up, get ready, get out the house. Whereas we don't, when we say first half of the day, that's really not how our day goes. How do you start your day, Brad?
I think an important change that I've recently made is I usually start with coffee and a liter of water. And it's basically because I don't hydrate very well, because I am pissing all the damn time. So I like to get that in right away. Get that water in right then, you know. And then essentially eat coffee, etc. Usually while I'm doing that, you know, I'll kind of do one Skype. Eating is usually, you know, I juice my vegetables, my fruits and vegetables. I'm terrible about eating them, so I juice them. And then protein, like Bert said, usually whey protein. I like to have a good solid source of protein. And then as soon as I'm done with my Skype and I get it pretty much in a place where I'm happy with, start warming up, start doing my dancing around the house that, you know, I'm so savagely known for.
It's really cute if you haven't seen Brad's pre-workout dance, his dynamic warm-up dance. It's sort of like footloose.
Yeah.
Sort of kind of footloose-ish. Like 80s.
Oh, he's in the zone. No one's watching. It's
maybe a little bit Carlton Banks.
Oh, but we're watching.
If they follow any of us, or when we're with Brad on IG stories, someone gets him every workout. So, like, from the time you wake up to when you, say, touch a barbell the first time, how many hours is that, Brad?
Oh, I'm going to say 3.
Okay.
3, 4, somewhere in there, right in there.
work-wise, when you're doing your Skype, like, I know Berto does this, like, as you're finishing up your Skype, and I think Jeff does too, you can you're building a program in your brain on the fly while you're talking to this person. Do you do that, Brad, or do you go away? See, I don't know. Am I the only?
Yeah, that's exactly like I do. And if it's a pretty cut and dried, simple program, I can send it to them before we hang up.
But Bert, same way.
Yeah. But that's kind of the way I like to do business, because a lot of times the way my creative thoughts work, I got to get it right there in the moment. And if it's not 90% built, I'll build 90% of it like in the first 10 minutes after I hang up with the person. Because otherwise my creative processes start kind of going away. And once I get it to where I'm happy, then I'll go away and start doing my dancing and start warming up and doing the movement prep for the training for the day.
Okay. So it's like you have to get that call, like, basically out of your brain space. Like, okay, the bulk of that is now done and emptied, and now I can go train.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, plus, what am I going to do otherwise? I'm going to sit here and eat and probably fart around watching epic fails on YouTube or Instagram or something like that. I'm really not going to do anything productive, so I might as well be productive during that period of time. And then go get to work right afterwards. So it's kind of like multitasking in a way.
Okay.
So, how about you, Bert? Your turn.
Leading all the way up until training, I guess. Is that where?
Oh yeah, because yours is far. I don't know. Do you want to do your future one that starts next month, or do you want to talk about it now?
No, it's just the way it is the way it is, and who knows? Like, I might abandon that system. So today I trained a bit earlier, and that was like odd to me. Shoot. Well, I guess to kick things off, I think the first thing I like wake up like instantly. Like, I have one of those brains that when I wake up, like, I'm up. Like, I don't need an adjustment period. Yeah. Like, I literally will wake up 15 minutes before an appointment with someone, and I'm cool with that. And I can just Leanna hates it because she. Like, the first 30 minutes that she wakes up, she's like just useless for anything. Yeah. But like, I head over to the food, and I get some whey protein, caffeine up if I need it, and then and get to work. And the way I do it is, as of now, is I take care of all of my work early in the day, and then at some point in the afternoon or the evening, I'll take a nap, I'll eat, I'll wake up, assess how I'm feeling, and then based off that, like, either eat again or go train right then and there. And that's kind of my ritual. I'd say the most, because I'm not a very good sleeper like Andrea is. Like, I wish I could, pull, 7, 8 consecutive, but I can nap really well, and naps don't throw me off. Like, I can disappear for 2 hours in the middle of the day, wake up, and like I'm good to go. So I'd say if there is one thing that I'm like, wow, if this just wouldn't be very functional for most people, but it's kind of where I've ended up is the whole nap thing. I'm very, like, when I sleep, I progress well. Like, I know that, but I'm a horrible sleeper. So that's one thing I've kind of done is I need at least one nap before I head over to the gym. About 3 protein feedings. 2 is all right, but 3 would be better. And I'd say the first 30 minutes leading into the training, I think about my training. Like, that is huge to me. To visualize, like, the successful day happening, and imagining the day being rough, hard, but like me breaking through. And that's kind of sort of like my ritual. That's kind of how things lead into training. Guess what I am neurotic about is, it's the sleep, which I'm a bad sleeper, so I've countered that with napping, and then the constant protein feedings over the day. But yeah, I'm not that out there, but still, like, when I think about it, the sleep thing is something that, even though I feel like I can function okay on 6-7, it's like I don't want to chance it. I'm gonna go ahead and waste a little bit of time in the middle of my day as just in case.
Yeah.
So
right now, from when you wake up to when you head to the gym, about how many hours is that?
It's about 10.
10 hours?
About 10 hours, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, because you get your whole workday done.
Yeah, that's the goal usually, if all goes according to plan, and then I go fly myself, and then the rest of the day, like to me, it's like you talk about like post training window of opportunity. Like to me, that's also time to like bring down the stress levels. So
yeah,
ideally,
you both like to like feast after you train.
that's the only time I'm actually like hungry. Yeah,
Bert feast.
yeah, yeah. Whatever I can find is just gonna go down, and we can fit it. It's going, but
that's what she said.
but yeah, yeah. If it's
sorry, that was too easy.
Sorry, people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your big change going to be? You're going to convert that from 10 hours pre-training to something a little bit more like what I just talked about, what Andrew did?
Yeah, my incentive is I want to get to the point where I wake up without an alarm clock. Like that is something that I want to give a try, because it's been a while, and on days that for some reason I don't have to be anywhere at a specific time in the morning, like I feel better, I sleep better, like I go to bed like in a much better place. So that's the next experiment, and I guess the only thing I'm a little bit cautious about is it training a bit earlier in the day. We'll see how the old spine feels about being loaded like at 2 p.m. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a difference, but that's the big thing, and I think a lot of it goes back to, man, just being like a relative grandpa, right? And doing all these things that I think a lot of people would see is like, this makes your life so much less fun. But to me, it's like, no. Like the fun to me is like going to the gym, stimulating, and then having a very predictable adaptation consistently happen. Like that is what I find fun. And I'm willing to sacrifice these other things that people, to them, it's wonderful if it means I get more of that over time. So.
Yeah. Cool.
I think it's your turn, Andrea.
It is my turn. So I, a long time ago, decided that I was not gonna, or I don't know if I decided, but I don't know like how long it started, but as long as I can remember, at least 2-3 years, I wake up when I wake up. So I don't wake up to an alarm, like Berto was saying. If I can get a good night's sleep, and for me that's 8 to 10 hours without an alarm, and I wake up when I wake up, everything about my next 24 hours is like 100% better. And Bert always says I'm a good sleeper, which is true, like almost all the time. But I'd say there's at least 1, sometimes 2 nights a week if I wake up in the middle of the night for some reason. Usually it's because I had a rest day and I didn't exert myself too hard, and so then I'll just like randomly wake up at like 7 a.m., which never happens. But when it does happen, it really sucks. Like I can deal with it, but it's like, the whole day is just like fucked. So what I'll do sometimes, I guess my contingency plans when that happens, right, is usually I either didn't have enough carbs at night, or it was a rest day, like it was a Sunday, I didn't do shit and I stayed at home all day. But because I stayed at home all day, now my body, which is used to training twice a day, is like, what? We're not done yet, kind of thing. So sometimes I'll do part of my workout just to make myself be able to go home and take a nap. Or I'll get some work done or writing done until my body decides it can go to sleep again. But yeah, then my training actually moves way later in the day because, like Berto, I will need to take a nap in order to make it a good session. But yeah, the sleep and then how my training goes kind of, I've learned, dictates my mood for the rest of everything else. So first thing, yeah, that's it. I wake up when I wake up, and then I have to have a 30-minute window before I eat. I always wake up starving, but for the listeners who don't know, I have a thyroid disease called Hashimoto's, which I've had since I was like 17. It's like, this is another one of those things, like, it's not a big deal because I've had it for like over a decade and I've known about it, but it is a constant thing that I can't eat for half an hour. So usually I'll like wash my face, brush my teeth, pick out clothes or something like that, like whatever, and then I'll have the biggest meal of my day. So unlike you guys who I think you'll both tend to feast way later, I have of my, let's say, 2 to 2,400 calories, which is usual. Of that, I'd say I get like 800 calories for breakfast. So I eat a lot, and it never includes fruits and veggies because that's too much fiber. It's always like denser. There's usually eggs and stuff, but it's usually like when I'll have heavier breads or Cliff Bars or something that's like small and lots of calories. And then I do my stretching either at home or at the gym, which is another maybe 30 minutes, and then I start training. And that is my morning. And when I say morning, that's usually like usually I get up between like 10 a.m. and noon, and I'm usually at the gym between noon and 2 is kind of when I get there. That's it.
Yeah, I loved that setup when we were there. And that was what kind of made me kind of change things around. It's just just get up, I don't need to eat as much as you, but I need to eat. And so we just sit there in front of your Keurig, and make my sandwich and eat my carrot since I couldn't juice, have my coffee and water, and then just head out the door and, head to the gym. I just love that setup. And so we're in a good enough position, all of us, and we're blessed that we can decide to change our schedules, if we want to. Yeah. And that's the main reason I did it is I found that my training was better. It was definitely better when I did things that way, and it's pretty much stayed that way. Yeah. And then a nice little kind of a nice little discovery I've made since I've made that change is that when I do my coaching work at night after I'm done feasting and training, etc. Man, a lot of times I'm on fire. Yeah. I feel like I'm sharper. I feel like my creativity is better. Last night I pounded out my blog and it's ready to go. And so that's a nice little discovery I've made that kind of gives me a little bit more incentive to stick to this.
Yeah, that's a good point. That not only does it sound like I guess it doesn't just sound like it. It is. I said, like, I do these things so that my training is really good and better. But it also, because the training is so important to me, and not just like right now, but like just since I was a child, like that was a huge part of my day. When it's out of the way, my headspace is a trillion times more clear to do whatever I need to do. So, as you guys know, I have this brain that like never fucking stops. And so if I start to try to work and get like, maybe I'll have like a cutoff time or an assignment I want done, and something else will come up in my head and I'll just keep going and going. And all my mental energy will just keep going on work. And then I'll get to the gym either later or at a weird time or whatever. And then I'm still thinking about this work thing that I started earlier today. So this way it's like when the training is done and I did what I consider like I did my job for the day. And then I can come home, eat, sometimes take a nap, and then my work brain is way more clear the rest of the evening, and I don't feel like I couldn't do these recordings and then try to go train. I couldn't do it. So for listeners, we always do this at night because I just feel more chill. And then there's the increased productivity hack of the fact that when you're out and about in town, right? I live in a big city, and so when I can do all my stuff while everyone else is at their 9 to 5, there's less traffic, the gym's less crowded, so like everything else just kind of gets to move a little faster. And then I make sure I'm home usually before 5 because that's when traffic gets crazy here in Austin. And that way, B and I are already here. We're not leaving again, and we can be work productive while the whole world is driving around sitting in their cars around us.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because I've noticed that in my one day that I go over to Reno. It's very much the same thing, because I try to keep it, which it sometimes gets derailed, just because of family, which we can talk about later. But, yeah, I've noticed the same thing. I wake up, eat, and then head to the gym about the same time that you do, Andrea, and probably anywhere between, like, noon and 2. It might be a little bit later than you, but, noon and 2. But still, during that period of time, the gym is pretty darn empty.
Yeah.
And then it starts filling up when I'm ready to leave and I've got to get to work, and it's like the perfect time.
Yeah. And that's not to say either, like it's not like we're saying if you can, you should totally do that. Because some people, it's the opposite. Like, their job really stresses them out, but there is an end point. Like, they have normal people brains and don't let it fester with them, but they'll be like, I work from this time to this time, and now my head is clear and I can go train or whatever. You know, I know a lot of people like that are the opposite. Or like you said about Leanna, how she is slow to wake up. Brandon's the same way. Like, so he'll usually get a little bit of some kind of work done in the morning because he doesn't talk for 3 hours after he wakes up. He's just, he has a hard time in the mornings. So he's just at his computer.
That makes sense now. Last time we did something together in the morning, he was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it this time." That was the look he gave me, actually.
Yeah, he doesn't morning very well.
Weird.
What were we going to say, Bert? Sorry.
That, yeah, a lot of the things that we're going over, it's like, I think a lot of folks might be tuning in. We're like, well, yeah, because you literally have the space in which you can do this. But I recall there was this one period in my life, like ages 20 to 23, where I've made some of the best progress when it came to my bodybuilding. And my life wasn't exactly like, I didn't have a lot of the perks that I have now.
Yeah.
But I did a very good job looking back now and looking at my situation, seeing what I could control, and trying to maximize that situation so that I could do better at bodybuilding. So I remember I would only take classes that were like post-noon for that reason, so that I could wake up, you know, whenever I wanted to. And at that point, dude, I was sleeping like a champ, like 10 hours every night.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where for 3 years, I didn't miss a scheduled training session for 3 years. Awesome. And often that meant I had to put other things off that I wanted to do. You know, homegirl calling me, I was like, no, I got to go get the session in, and then maybe if I have time, I'll go see you. I didn't party for 3 years. Like, for my 21st birthday, like, this is a story. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I was at someone else's 21st birthday, just kind of there because I had trained already, I guess, right? Or it was a non-training day. And just there, like, hey, okay, cool, you know, all right, cool, happy birthday. I got to go now because I got to go train. So, like, I didn't even drink or, like, do anything that I think most people in their early 20s would do. And to me, like, a lot of my buddies that knew me well enough, they're like, for reals, dude, for reals? But to me, it was worth it. Like, that's what I wanted with, like, I found what I was doing was, like, fun to me. Like, that's what I lived for, and I still do. And looking back now, it's like, holy shit, like, it paid off. But for the longest time there, people were like, you know what, you're really, like, not doing with these early 20s what you should be doing. You're going to look back and regret this. And, like, now here in hindsight, I could sit back and I'm like, no, like, I did exactly what I wanted to do. Like, I was making very little money at the time, but I was okay with that because I wanted a job where I could go to school and where I could train the way I wanted to train. Yeah. So, like, it really goes back to that. It's like, look at your situation, maximize what you have there. And a lot of people skip out on that part. Like, they eat the protein, they buy the supplements, they train, but this other stuff, like, it's like they never really get to mobilizing that stuff in a way that benefits them.
Yeah. There's been a lot of times in my life too where I kind of appreciated those constraints. You know, like, growing up as I would say growing up a gymnast, but then by, like, high school, almost, I guess in Texas, almost everyone's an athlete in some kind of sport. But, you know, you have practice at this time, right? In gymnastics, you went to school for 8 hours, and then I went to practice for 4 hours from this time to this time. And it's like, it was never, like, I know now we have all these decisions to make. And so some people see this as, like, oh, it must be nice because you can move your whole day or whatever. But it's a pretty recent thing. Like, up until when I finished grad school, I was like 26 or 27 or something. Like you said, it went where it could go, and therefore you do what you can. So, like, if I had to teach classes at 9 and then take my classes in the afternoon and then could, like, collect data at night or whatever, then it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm getting up at 5 a.m. as a 25-year-old to get my training in because it's either that or 9 p.m. and I know that I would be wrecked at 9 p.m. So then I would just do it, yeah. And it's like not having those, not having the option. A lot of times for a lot of people, kind of makes life easier, I guess. Because sometimes I'll decision fatigue my face. I'll be like, well, because those days when I will randomly wake up after 6 hours of sleep, which again is rare, but when it does, I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? Do I force myself up, take some caffeine and go, well, shit, I have heavy cleans today. That might not work today. Maybe it could have if it was a lighter workout, but today it's not. So then do I get up and work and not take caffeine and then do my nap? And so like now when does my breakfast, like there's all these things I could do when like if I had a job in 3 hours, I would train whether I wanted to or not. And then it wouldn't even be a fucking issue. And I would just have to go get it done. But it's kind of like a stupid blessing and curse at the same time sometimes. What were we going to say, Brad?
I don't remember.
Shit.
Well, one thing I was gonna just comment on was as I was listening to Berto, I was like, it sounds like he, it's kind of one of those things where he chose to do things a certain way, because not only did he have a lot of emphasis and desire for what it was that he was doing, but yeah, he at the same time he made those things happen, and that was just the only thing that I remember thinking about.
I got a job at a supermarket so that I could be around food. I remember that.
To get a food discount.
How great is this? Yeah.
I remember you telling us that you weighed one of your sandwiches one time and it was like 7 pounds or something like that.
Life of a deli dude, like just protein everywhere. But it goes back to, it's like there were certain things that I'm sure I wish I could have added to my protocol back then, but they just weren't possible. But within whatever I had there, like at that point in time, whatever I could actually manipulate to benefit me as an athlete, I feel that, yeah, looking back now, it's like, wow, you did a very good job in making that happen. I was broke. I went to the shittiest gyms, but we made it work. And if there was something that I'm like, I can do something with this to make me better, I would go for it. And I think, again, to a lot of my friends, they're like, that sounds like not the way to live. And to me, it was like, no, this is how I want to live. And no, I'm very proud of that dude, like looking back now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The job thing it's interesting because I don't think that anyone is better or worse than anyone else in terms of where they put their athleticism in their life, right? So if we're talking about the dude who has a 9-to-5 and 2 kids and a wife and just wants to look better over time, then not bodybuilding necessarily, but like your fitness goals most likely could be achieved in a couple hours a day at the gym, most likely, right? Mm-hmm. Right, and it doesn't have to be absolutely incredibly. Like if you're not a competitive powerlifter, you can just leg press and it's possible, like you said, with what you have done, and then there's, I think, this other level of athlete where, and I don't mean that as far as like whether you're a competitor or not, but like the brain space that I think we're in, and I know I'm in, but I think all 5 of us are in pretty much, is that like the opposite in that my job serves my sport. Not that we want to be shitty at our job and not that we don't, it's just that, like you said, you're like, I pick this job that brings food available to me, doesn't pay that much, but enough to get a gym membership, and it leaves me enough time to sleep and get my, and so that kind of all worked out. And I think I've talked on the podcast before, it's like I decided very, very quickly after grad school when I went in wanting to be a professor, and then very quickly once I got the bodybuilding bug and found, I was cheerleading in college or whatever, but I was like, okay, I really want to take this seriously. It was like, I'm going to have to work for myself. I'm going to have to figure a way to do that because I want my training to come first in my life. And again, it doesn't mean like I don't want to contribute to society or that I don't give a shit about people or whatever, but it's just kind of, if anything, that constraint made me push harder as someone who owns a business and made me do a lot of shit I didn't want to do, or like be really poor for a long time and all that stuff. So again, not that either one of those is right or wrong, but I feel like when you're, if you're a 9 to 5 dude who only that first guy, if you only have a couple hours a day and you see these elite athletes and you want to live like them, like I feel like then you create like a pain point for yourself where you're like, man, if I had that time, I could be as good as them or something like that, you know? And vice versa. Some people say they're like, no, I want to go all the way in this thing. I want to be the best I can be, but their job is like 10 hours a day and swing shifts and it changes all the time or something, and that's got to be frustrating too. So it's just kind of marrying your personality with your job, with your athletic goals, I guess, and that looks different. Because I don't want to give the impression that we think everyone should have our days or emphasize their sport the way we do.
No. Yeah, and really, if you think about it, it's not really all that complex. You know, I remember quite a few years ago, actually, Berto was just kind of lifestyle coaching me, I guess you might say. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you really break it down, really for the most part, we're pretty simple people. I mean, yeah, we're kind of picky about how much sleep we get, you know, and we're kind of picky about, you know, certain things. But really, when you break it down, it's not that complex. Yeah. We want to train, we want to eat, and we want to sleep. You know what I mean? And that's really it, you know? So it's not like we're all that complex. And really, to be honest with you, I would almost venture to say that a lot of people are more complex than us, you know, because, you know, yeah, they want to do this, but, you know, we got to make sure that, you know, we're not stepping on so-and-so's toes, and we got to make sure that we can make this meeting and that meeting, and it's got to happen at this time of day. And so we got to make sure that everybody can, you know, that's when things get really, you know, kind of sort of complex.
Yeah.
And with us, you know, it's just a matter of there's kind of a melding of our jobs and our training, you know, together. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, you know, it's really not all that complex, you know. And sure, maybe we want to buy really expensive squat shoes and walk around in, you know, cheap Walmart shoes, you know, or we put a little bit more of our budget towards, you know, what do the tax people call it? Athletic attire or athletic performance, you know, clothing or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of some of the things that go along with what we're doing.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot that you said at the beginning, like where you spend your money, because yeah, a lot of people would find that a lot of, I guess, the general population would find it very, very weird the way that we, like, for example, Bert, I know that shirt was free from John Bossy, Barber One. This is one of Brandon's old shirts that I cut. This is, you know, what it is. It's just, you know, a lot of our, you know, and I know that that's not okay with a lot of people, but like in the most loving way possible, like we all look like shit most of the time, and that's okay with us. You know, like I live in stretchy shorts and tank tops, and they're all the same, all of them almost. You know, I don't think about a lot of things that a lot of but that came along with the whole desire to work for myself was I can train well. I don't have to worry about like a commute. You know, I don't have to pick out my clothes. That was a huge pain point for me. I know y'all are boys, but as a female, when I was doing that marketing internship with the soccer team in Houston, and it was like my first and only time I had like a 9 to 5 where I had to dress up every day, every morning. That's like an extra hour of your day. Makeup, hair, outfit. I was just like, Jesus. Because before that, I was a gymnastics coach for a decade, you know? And so I could wear workout shorts and my staff t-shirt or whatever. And then, like, buying outfits is, like, the worst. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst.
A lot of mental energy that needs to go into that besides the budget.
It's so embarrassing. I know. But I remember, like, because it was only one season with that MLS team, and I remember just like thinking to myself as it ended, I'm like, I cannot wait to sell all these clothes because it's just absurd. But like you said, but I do have my squat shoes, and when I was powerlifting, I did have my deadlift shoes, and I have my belt for Olympic lifting and my belt for squatting, and I have my wrist wraps and my grips and my, yeah, when it comes to that, I have no problem. It's like, okay, these shoes that I need for this certain thing are $200. Okay, then we will get them. And then, like, my cousin gets married and I have to buy a dress for $40. So I'm like, damn it, I'm only going to wear this once. Like, what am I doing? But it's like it becomes obvious to you, right? It's like not even that like we were talking about, it's not that I think about how I spend my money. It's just if I pay attention to how I emotionally react to where it goes, like for food, I'm like, yes, this is the dish that I want because it'll make me full and it has protein and whatever. So when I'm at a restaurant, I order that dish. I don't look for the one that's on sale or you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's part of that lifestyle that we're talking about.
But then there's things like cute clothes, and I'm like, I'm really gonna wear it like once a month, maybe. Do I really want to do this? If that many times.
Yeah. When I see the ratios, like it doesn't make sense. Like a pair of just like casual shoes that are nice, but they're like $50. I'm like, but like $50 on like other things, like it's
like a virus pair of pants. Like you own a shit ton. Those are like what, $80 or something, and you're like, whatever, I'll wear them all the time.
It's like, oh yeah, dude, I will wear this and I'll appreciate it, and it's my thing. But yeah, no, it's, and again, I don't think it's. I think it's for the listeners. I think they'd be like, yeah, this is actually kind of comforting because I'm pretty sure everyone who does this, and it scales to what your goals are for sure.
Yeah.
Like you probably do a few things, and you might have a hierarchy of what's important to you that to a lot of people around you maybe doesn't make sense. And I guess we're just here to tell people it's cool. It's okay. It's okay to be. Just to do your thing.
Yeah, I forget now that I'm so in this with y'all that there was a time when I was very alone and all the 3D content like saved my life. And I was like, oh, it was actually like, Matt Ogus's Matt Versus in 2012 that I was like, someone else cares about this? Someone else loses their shit when their egg whites ran out with, but they were still supposed to have an extra 10 grams. Like someone else loses their shit. Not that that's cool, but I really was in that space for a long time where I was like, oh, there are other people like me. And I forget that, like, if we have 100,000 listeners a month, there's a lot of people that maybe live in either by themselves or don't have someone in their lives to appreciate the way that they feel about the bodybuildings and the powerliftings and the sports or whatever. But, there's a lot of, like I say, us crazies out there, but when we talk to each other, none of it's crazy. And I'm so thankful that when y'all came last month, or was it last month? Shoot, it was only last month y'all were here.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you guys being so great to let me sleep in, but you guys understand me, and you're like, for listeners, they come over and they're like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know, sleep in, go around dinner one, and everyone goes, okay. And then that was it, whereas, like when we have like Brandon's parents come over, or friends that aren't our lifting friends, it's like, I don't know what you're going to do all day, but we're going to go train and we'll see you at like 5 p.m. kind of thing, and then we can take you out to see the city or whatever. But, it's hard to explain that to people that don't know. Yeah. And so when our lifting friends come over, it's like, okay, whatever, who cares? But when someone doesn't, it's like hard to host, because then you also have, like, poor Brandon's mom's like, what are y'all eating there? Okay, so when do y'all eat and why are you eating that? And like, you're gonna go to the gym. Well, should we go or should we walk? And I'm like, I don't know. I know I have to do this thing, and I know it looks weird to you, but it's just like this thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and I can't say that, outside of, because something that you just said triggered this in my little pea brain. I know that I sometimes get in this little tug of war conflict with myself, when it comes to my training, because, it does take a while. Usually I'll hit that gym about like I said, between noon and 2. Because I do like to take a long time and rest, nice long, rest periods in between. It takes up a lot of period of time. And then I get in a tug of war, because it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this Monday, Tuesday. I'll be in Reno Thursday. I'm going to have to schedule when I'm going to get the pine needles out of the gutters, and all this shit that like
what
probably normal homeowners will just do on the fly on a weekend or something like that. For me, it sometimes stresses me out, and I feel like I'm not being a proper adult when I'm training before I go and fix the gutters or do one of these things on the home front, and all those things have to be done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where I have to schedule it. I have to schedule it at a certain time. Fridays for us a lot of times is laundry day, because I don't usually train. There's a reason why I don't train, because I was up all night and usually I'm recovering from working, and so that's the best time to do it, is just to hammer it all out then, And so I think if there's people out there that are like that, I share your company.
Yeah.
Because we put a lot of emphasis on our training. It's what I love it. I love training. It's so freaking fun, and I'm not saying that I'm right, but I probably share people's uncomfortable willingness to be a little bit like a kid and neglect those adult responsibilities.
Well, and that's what sucks about it, right? Is that for whatever reason, like you said, be a kid, but it is that way, and it is perceived that way, that you are not in high school or college, and because you are not a professional athlete, you should not spend this much time on your sport. Which I know y'all are bodybuilding pros, but like that's not a living salary, right? So, and it's like unless you're in the NBA, why are you still playing? And that's a real shitty way but it's very common. And like you said, like I have a guilt associated with it too sometimes. When someone asks us, someone at the gym, like maybe because I train at a CrossFit gym, so there's like events sometimes, and they'll ask me to go, and I'm like, no, I have to train and work. And these are other people who train and work, but I'm like, but no, I have to get mine done, or I like literally don't feel good. Like I can't settle because I didn't do my job. I don't know. And then I feel kind of weirdly guilty about it. I think I've talked to y'all about the other recording. I said this too, but there are a lot of things I feel like I fail at all the fucking time outside of my training. I mean, of course, sometimes we feel like a piece of shit when we're training, but usually when I let myself down, it's because I didn't hit a work deadline. I'm not putting out the social media post I know I'm supposed to. I didn't get my blog post done. I have to get this newsletter out. I didn't respond to this email. I am not keeping up with my personal blog. Like, there's 1,000 things I feel like I let myself down on it and am not the best at. And all I think about is, well, if you didn't fucking train so much, maybe you could get these career things done a little better, but it doesn't work the other way around. Like, if I was nailing these other things, I would be more upset if my training was the thing that suffered than the other way around, because I've tried it.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work the other way. But again, like, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm letting the team down sometimes, and you guys down, or Brandon down. So yeah, it is weird, but like, who says that we can't play, or who says that it can't be important to us? It's just, but like when you said, it's a kid thing to do, but it's I don't know, it's not fair. It's not really. Anyways,
it's just your priorities, and like, again, like everyone, like some people, like they make like getting home after work, after that job they like hated for like the last 20 years, like their purpose is to get home and like pound those beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, we have our thing, right? We have our little twist, but like we picked it that way, and like, I don't see, I guess, anything, like so many things, like even, for example, like, oh, this past weekend was like the exact opposite. Like 20-something-year-old Bert would have been like confused as to like, how can you do this now? And I just know how to like.
Because Bert got shit-faced this weekend, y'all.
Ooh, we partied, just too many of my friends who lift had birthday parties. And that's another thing, like when I stop and I think about it, it's like, holy crap, like who are my friends? Like who are the people? And it's like that for a reason, because we can all we understand that, and we all like make this like enough of a priority to where like a big part of the reason that we click is because of that.
Yeah.
I've never stopped to think about that. I was like, yeah, a lot of my friends, like there's maybe one guy there, two guys there, party of like 20 something that didn't lift, and everyone else lifted. Yeah, no, it's, and I subconsciously, like, I guess I picked up my friends in that manner.
Yeah. Well, I think because everyone wants to be understood, right? And nothing's worse than, like I said, because I've very much been there.
Yeah.
Where nobody understands what the fuck I'm doing or why it's so important or how I do it or what, And that in turn just made me like more closed off to them because I'm just like constantly explaining myself. And I remember those 2 or 3 years of the holiday, like 2010 to like 2014 maybe, where I was very much either in prep season or in a reluctant off-season, scared to eat, waiting for the next prep kind of thing. And I remember getting so frustrated with when I would go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas because I would look this way because I was in prep, so I was fairly lean. And but I knew, okay, well, it's Thanksgiving. I'm going to take the day off of dieting and enjoy this pumpkin pie and these mashed potatoes, And then the family members are just like, well, what are you eating? I wish I could look like that and eat that way. And when, like, they don't know all the shit I do every day, like the last however many days. And I would resent that so much. Or like when, because people notice because you wear it when you're in prep and you see someone you haven't seen in 2 months maybe. And you're supposed to go out to dinner with them and you order your chicken and broccoli and it's a deal. Like it's a big deal. And I think that's something that it's weird. Like I just remember how much that sucked in the sport was like if you look a certain way, the general population knows has something to do with diet and exercise, and therefore anytime you eat in public, people are looking at your plate. That used to just like drive me bonkers. And I would get like angry. So it made me like want to eat in a corner. No joke.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
At work, I would be like, I'm just going
to
take my Tupperware. Y'all quit looking at my shit. Like,
well, and a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I would just outright just make up stories. It'd be like, oh, that's interesting. How come just chicken and broccoli? I'm gluten intolerant.
Well, but I remember.
Well, how come you can't have milk? I'm lactose intolerant. I'm allergic to this. I'm allergic to that. I did not feel like justifying and explaining what it was that I was doing, And so I would just kind of come up with the easiest response that seemed to make the most sense, How come you can't have peanut butter or you can't have, I'm allergic to peanuts,
Yeah, just to get it
and then just leave it at that, Yeah.
I don't know. It's like not that you want to be so blind to the rest of the world that you only hang out with people just like you, but it definitely helped me deal with all the shit that I was going through. And I hope that this podcast helps, like you were saying, Bert, helps people who are there by themselves, super into this thing, and nobody else around them is into this thing, and then you feel like the weirdo all the time, because I know I did.
Yeah, and don't feel guilty for restructuring things when you can, and so long as it's not healthy, not sabotaging the rest of your life. That's, I think, for any goal, that's just something you're going to have to do regardless of what it is. If it's one of those things that's not easy to get to, you're probably going to have to restructure some things and do some shit that to other people who don't care about that goal, they're like, why would you choose to live that way?
Yeah, because that's one thing. I mean, even like in the 3D Muscle Journey mission, it's kind of like our hobby, we kind of wear it. It's like our hobby. Most people's hobbies, you don't really see what it is they're doing, as far as collecting coins, and they're buying a penny that costs $8, because it's got the 1947 issue of whatever, nobody's going to see that, or for whatever the person's hobby might be, collecting baseball, or Xander loves the scrapbooking, and he loves RC cars, people, with us, we kind of wear it every single day, we're eating weird foods, we can't go out to dinner that night because we got a training session, or we're in diet, or we're in prep, or whatever. So much of our hobby tends to kind of overflow into areas of life where other people can see us, when you're at work and you get your Tupperware containers and it's all plain,
yeah,
adulterated chicken and steamed veg. It's so visible.
That's a good point. I remember taking like Tupperware to a restaurant when I used to think I had to. And then it went to just I wouldn't eat when we'd go out. I'd be like, no, I'm not. I would do the lie. I'd be like, I'm not hungry. Yeah. And then go home and immediately eat my like whatever bro shit I had going on.
You swear you're fainting as you're like putting it together.
And if you go to the bar, like it's easier because you can just have water and you're like, it's vodka water. Shh, don't tell anybody kind of thing. But it wasn't. Yeah. That's funny though. I remember hiding it until I was around all you guys.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's a culture. It really is. Like that's when I think about what my culture is. Mm-hmm. Like it's not the one my ancestors did, and I don't think it's very connected to a lot of things American either. Right? But it's very. There's other things like if I have a huge loaf of bread and goat cheese for dinner, like Andrea's not going to ask me why are you eating that.
Yeah.
That is weird. I'm gonna call your mother because you are 34 years old and you're eating bread for dinner.
Yeah.
So it's my culture straight up.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about that too at the end of our. We did open with all the things we do up until our session. Should we talk about how we end our day, our lifestyle, our lifestyle the rest of the day that helps us continue?
Yeah, that's important.
Okay, Brad, you started the last time. Training's over.
Well,
how does the rest of your day go to ensure athlete things?
Well, like I said, I think briefly, sometimes my structure gets derailed, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that probably happens for a lot of us. So first of all, if I didn't get those things taken care of in the morning, juicing my fruits and vegetables and getting my, liter of water and et cetera, I'm going to make sure and get that stuff done at night, And I mean, last night I had to be really quiet because my system did get derailed, and I had to quietly juice all my fruits and vegetables while Sandra was in bed asleep,
Hold on, so you do a liter of water and coffee and juice all within like your first 3 hours of your day?
Mm-hmm, usually.
Dude, I would pee everywhere.
If things go as planned. But see, I'm okay with that. Because if I do it later, which is what happened, I got to get up in the middle of the night, go pee. It interrupts my sleep, which then affects my training. So that's kind of one of the big reasons I do that. So that's kind of the first thing. If I didn't get it done earlier that day, then I do it, at night. So what do I typically do at night? Besides that, I found out that I sleep best with the combination of melatonin and gamma aminobutyric acid. And so I always am religious about getting those two things in, usually with my vitamin D. I like to just get all my pills at night. So I'll take my melatonin, my GABA, my vitamin D. Typically, I'll kind of think back, okay, let's see, how much protein have I had today? I've only had 125 grams of protein. So then if I have my pills, I'll try to mix it with as little water as I can. Luckily, Bert showed me how to be very creative with my whey protein and mix it into either sludge or microwave it into a little biscuit. That's typically what I'll do. And then let's see, outside of that, I like, if I don't go right to bed, I lay down on the couch, just kind of chill out with the wife, and sometimes I'll do a little bit of stretching because I got to stay on my stretching. And if I didn't get it in during the day, I'll usually just lay on the couch and just kind of stretch there as we're chilling out in front of the TV or whatever. So, but yeah, I think that's typically how I close the day, and I like to get to bed and be asleep by no later than 1 a.m. because otherwise the next day is going to be kind of thrown off a little bit, or I'll need an alarm clock or something to that effect.
When you get your work done, like I know you do that one Skype a day usually in the morning, but when's like the bulk of your work time?
The work time? It's usually about this time. So usually I'll get the training done about 5 and then start pounding out the work. And like I said, usually it goes pretty fast. If I get it done at that time, I'm very creative. I'm pretty sharp. I'm very receptive, to ideas and things that, some of the clients might have, which is not that different from when I go to Reno, because I got to be there about 6:00, and then I'll just work just a little bit later when I go to Reno and do that once or twice a day thing. But yeah, that'll be kind of prime client hours will be between like 5 and 6 and like 11 midnight, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And then obviously things kind of sometimes get derailed. We had a huge 18 boy birthday party here this weekend, which kind of derailed things a little bit.
That's a lot of kids.
18.
18, 15-year-olds. That was interesting.
Good Lord.
And yeah, sometimes things just kind of get derailed, and so then we just try to get past that.
Cable
back
bill.
to it.
Check the cable bill.
That's a lot of testosterone, yeah. 18, 15-year-old boys. Yeah.
Well, that's the nice thing is anymore, I don't really have to worry about that being on my cable bill because they'll just showbox it or something.
Oh,
what?
Makes so much easier to be a teen boy.
Oh, I know. Teenagers anymore. That's just, I'm glad that this doesn't
I mean, they could just look at...
Rewind the VHS back to where, like, you look like that's...
I know. But, I mean, there's a lot of Snapchat and Instagram profiles that I'm sure they...
Oh, yeah.
No problem finding. Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of scary.
It is. It is. Bert.
How about you, Bert?
Yeah. What do you do after you train?
Speaking, one thing I forgot to mention is that I try to get my fruits and vegetables early in the day because that's when I feel like I have more mechanical space. It's just not going to happen afterwards. Like at the end of the day, I just kind of
room in your stomach.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. So I'll wake up and I try to get a head start with that. And right now it's pretty cool. Where it's easy enough that the majority of my calories, or a good chunk, about half, get to come in later in the day. It gets harder as I get heavier because I have to get a head start. And if I don't get a head start, it's like, the day is ruined, right? But yeah, so I train. After I train, let's see, what do I do? Oh, so this is wonderful. Like, the only foods that we kind of have set here for the most part in the house is going to be foods that are like breakfast and lunch foods. But hey, my significant other lifts, and usually what we do is like post-training, because we're both pretty ravenous after that, is we go eat somewhere or bring food from a supermarket. And it could be a number of things. Like we'll go to Walmart and grab dinner for the night, or sometimes just like stop by McDonald's, and then just like load up on all the healthy protein options there, or the leaner ones. But yeah, so that's usually how it trails off post training. And then I like to get like my chillax time afterwards. Like something's off with my day if I have to be back in here. Like, for example, today, like this is something that I usually won't do. I won't like restart work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And this isn't too bad, but like if it's like something that like really requires my brain, like here I'm just chilling with you guys. But like that kind of, it's like this is supposed to be my post-training like de-stress window. Like all my body's gonna do for the next 10 hours is like make shit better, So that's usually how my day ends. It's either we'll binge watch something, or we'll sit down and just have dialogue. And it's funny because often a lot of the dialogue that we have involves the stuff we do. Mm-hmm. So like whether it be like, did you see that paper? Have you ever, because my girlfriend does something similar. And yeah, it's like we bring the portions of work that we want to bring home with us. Like, and it's appropriate. So it's kind of nice to have something or someone that you can bounce those things off of, and they understand. But that's basically my day. And if I can, I like to be in bed by 11. And
because your first Skype's usually at like 8, right? 8 or 9?
9. So ideally, wake up around 7-ish, get myself settled. But often the way it works is like I couldn't fall asleep for whatever reason, and I go to bed finally like at 1:30, wake up at 8:45, run upstairs and go handle my Skype.
I know.
everyone who Skyped with me who's like listening, they're like, I knew it. That's exactly what he looked like.
Yeah.
But no, I wake up and I'm like on. Like I can backflip out of bed basically. So, um, but that's honestly that's how it is. And I'd say if there is, and this last weekend was kind of a reminder of that. Like kind of like not so typical. Like we had a string of like birthday parties. And if I know I'm going to party that day, like I am going to max out my recovery for that day. Like I will wake up early. I will like start having my protein feedings regularly so that by the time I make it to wherever we got to go, it's like, and I'll arrive there a little late if I have to. Like I just need to get my stuff in, so that I have like 4-ish, 5-ish protein feedings by the time we make it to the dive bar and we're having a good time. So like, yeah, so that's like, I'm not a, not a partier you can just call up. It's like I need to plan this, and then there's got to be a lot of sleep the next day. Yeah. So that's my wacky life.
Man, mine's more boring.
Andrea, it's your turn.
Yeah, mine's boring. So unlike most people listening to this, I have 2 training sessions, at least 3 days a week. And they're not both like 2 or 3 hours long. Usually one is maybe an hour and the other one's 2 to 3. So it kind of depends on whether I have 1 or 2 a day. I think I'm going to start this year dropping the second one, but that's neither here nor there. But what it's been the past like couple years is I will do all the things I said before, do 1 training session. I'll try to have 2 or 3 hours and then do the second one. So like that middle part of my day is usually like a 5-hour training with like a break in the middle. Does that make sense? So like maybe from noon to 5 I'm training, but it's like there was one until 1:30 and then another one started like 3 to 5 or something. So there's a longer window there. I'll snack in between, sometimes nap in between those, but I very rarely will touch work anything. Just because, again, once I get into work, I don't get out of it very well, and it'll linger with me. And if I try to even look at work and I know I need to nap, sometimes it'll keep me up from my nap because my brain starts already. So I try to, like, just not at all. And then I'll eat something again after the second session, usually bigger. Honestly, between, like, 5 and 10 p.m., I'll eat 3 times. Unlike you guys, I don't have like 2 or 3 or like large feedings. I have like 5 or 6. I have like really big breakfasts and then like 5 or 6 small ones. It was different when y'all were here because I know that's how we operate as a team. But usually as soon as I leave the gym, I put something in my mouth. I eat something. I shouldn't have said that. And then I'll do it again like 3 hours later and then again 3 hours later. And that's just kind of like how I interrupt my work day. So after my second session or the end of my one longer one, I'll eat. Then I'll have a chill out period of an hour or 2, which might involve a nap, not sure. Or it might be like just reading, not actually making shit. And then work for me starts like at 6 or 7 till about midnight. And then there's like a break in there to eat, like I said. And then, Brandon and I usually have 1 show that we're watching at a time. And we almost always eat dinner together while we eat that last meal watching that show. And then we both work right up until bedtime. So like I might be in here at like 11:30 and like text B, hey, is midnight still cool, or 12:30 or whatever. And we both like, yeah, because we're too fucking lazy to go across the house. But I'll just text him from my laptop. Yeah, like we work up until like so. Our Brandon and I's time together. Sometimes we train together. We always do dinner together, and then when like say midnight is when we go to bed, we actually don't like fall asleep till probably like 1. But that'll be our like chit chat about the day, maybe a little social media. We usually like you will be like, did you see so and so, whatever, like because we have all the same friends. Brandon actually sees them in person. I just know people from the internet because I don't travel. But yeah, so we catch up at night. And then when we're getting ready for bed, we always play games together, which I've talked about before. It helps us wind down. Like on the iPad, we have whatever random games we're doing. And then, yeah, and then we fall asleep when we fall asleep, wake up when we wake up. But it's usually, bed's usually between midnight and 1, and then like I said, I wake up between 9 and noon maybe, usually 10 to noon though. And that's the day of it. But I remember when I was just doing bodybuilder powerlifting, I would do like 3 giant meals a day, or 4 like that, but having a hard time lately being like satiated enough but not empty, because a lot of my training is very aerobic. Which on one hand I would need more carbs for that, but on the other hand, because I'm bouncing, I can't get too full. So like I'm like y'all saw it a little bit when I hear, like I always have snacks with me, always in my gym bag, a bar here, a bar there, a bagel here, a Pop-Tart here, whatever. But I don't do shakes, unlike you guys do, to listeners. I don't like drinking my protein. But I do Gatorade while I train.
Yeah, because your training is much more strenuous than mine.
I mean, it
much
depends.
more. And I think that I would have to snack too.
It's more expensive energy systems that she's.
There you go. Yeah. That's probably a better way to do it.
Because you don't look like you're having a good time when you're like at the bottom of that squat.
or really, even when she's doing the rower, and then the walking on her hands, and then she's doing this complex, and she's doing that EMOM, and
yeah, it gets a little.
So it
gets very, intense. Very, it's different.
Energy expensive.
Yeah. I think people would like to know that though. So I'll start, and then y'all let me know, like the meals per day and like the spread and all that stuff. Like like I said, I eat my breakfast is my biggest meal of the day, and then there's usually like 4 or 5 smaller ones. And by meals, only 1, maybe 2 of the rest of those are actually sit downs. When I say meal, it's usually like, okay, a cheese stick and a Cliff Bar, or some jerky and some Pop-Tarts between this gym and the other gym. Like, so real meals where like I actually have like a meat and maybe a veggie and like a more whole, less sugary starch is like 3 times a day, and then there's another 2 or 3 like 300 to 500 calorie boluses of 10 to 20 grams of protein and like 30 to 50 carb kind of thing. And that starts, like I said, like my first meal is about 30 minutes after I wake up, because I have to let my pill do its thing. I have to be fasted when I have that. And then last time I eat is probably like 10 p.m. I guess I only eat in a 12-hour window. Shit. But not on purpose. I don't know. I don't like eating a whole lot right before bed. It kind of bothers my stomach. That's probably why I wake up so damn hungry every day. But that's it. What are y'all's like meals per day and like calorie spread? I know we like touched on it, but I think people don't want to know like this is how it goes.
Well, I'll let Bert go first, because he is much more metabolically active than myself, which makes it probably more interesting, whereas mine's kind of boring.
The only thing I'm kind of a Nazi about is getting my protein feedings in, and then the other macros, the fat and the carbs, it depends on how hungry I am and how recovery has been. So like, for example, today, if I look back at everything I put in that pancake mix this morning, it was probably like 40 grams of fat and like 150 to 180 grams of carbs, because I use condensed milk instead of like the syrup. So it kind of depends, but that is one thing that definitely changes. If I feel like hungry and up to eating in the morning and I wake up at the right time, I will absolutely try to have a few calories, just because it makes it so that I'm less hungry the rest of the day. So I can just like get to work, stay in the work zone.
Yeah.
But usually, like, if I can get a kiwi, if I could get a green giant steamer bag of Brussels sprouts in the morning, like, I'm doing freaking good.
Bert eats entire bags of frozen veggies by themselves with a fork, just because.
just to get that thing in. So I'll pound that away with a protein shake, and then after that it's kind of it really does depend. So today's actually after that meal. All I've had was like personal sized fruits with a whey protein shake. I've had that twice, and then I went to go train. And now once this is done, I think based on how crappy today went, I'll probably eat a little bit more later today. So the one thing that I am like, this has to happen, and like I'll get on like my girlfriend about it. It's like, so what do you mean you've only eaten protein once? Like, what are you doing? Like, like the training program that I made for you is not going to work, and you're going to blame me. And it's like, no, dude, like you need to eat your protein.
Yeah.
So that's legitimately like the one thing that everything's centered around, and everything else is pretty auto-regulated. But like, since I am in the mid 170s right now, getting enough food isn't too hard. I'd say so long as I stay north of 3,500 calories on most days, I won't lose weight, and that's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
I drool over that. Because I mean, for the most part, I'm believe it or not, the amount of calories that I need to maintain my weight are very similar to Andrea's, because I guess I'm older.
Well, mine weren't like this when I was just bodybuilding or powerlifting. I mean, for me to maintain this same weight 3 years ago, I was like 1,600 to 1,900 calories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I really only need anywhere between, I think 22, 23, 2,400 calories, and I'll stay here, and I'll perform pretty darn good. But yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I did just do an audit, just the other day, because typically I only eat twice a day, three times at most. Yeah. And I consider that deal in the morning, that's kind of a meal, That's one thing I should probably, kind of clarify is I've even considered, like in the past when I just had coffee, and BCAAs, I would consider that a meal myself.
Whoa.
It's very, very calorie compact, but nonetheless, I put creamer in my coffee, and I have the BCAAs. I would kind of consider that a meal myself. So it's not like I'm necessarily fasting from the point that I wake up until whenever, 10, 11, 12, whatever. But yeah, interesting enough, I just did an audit the other day, because usually that meal that I just talked about, where I juice my vegetables and put some whey protein in it, and usually have like a whole protein source, it's usually only about 600, 700, 800 calories at most. And then usually I'll do that, eat that, drink that, while I'm doing my Skype, train. Sometimes I'll have a little snack when I'm training. I don't know if it would be considered much, but that's not very often. And then usually the feast is when it comes after the training. And I'll do that while I'm working, And so if I do need 2,500 calories, this is a nice round number. If I shot down 600, in the morning pre-workout, I'll get the other 1,900 at night in that one big feasting, And usually I'm good after that. I'll be good the rest of the night, And unless I came up short. If I came up short, then I'll kind of make sure that I get something in, like I talked about at bedtime. And then usually I'm not that hungry in the morning, because I do get that big feast at night, and so it kind of lasts me all the rest of the night until the morning, And then I do have a little spot in there where I sometimes will snack during the training session, or have something to finish off to make sure I get enough protein at the end of the day. Because that's one thing I'm anal about, is my protein. Yeah. And if, like, sometimes the big feast that I have will be whatever the wife made, spaghetti and meatballs or tacos, or, that's kind of our go-tos. And if I'm pretty sure that was a little bit, low on protein, that's when I'll make it up at night.
Gotcha. It's funny, the preferences from when I was just lifting and barely doing any cardio, I liked that 3 big meals a day. That's how I did my last prep. And now I don't really like being absurdly full or absurdly empty. Like I like to graze now because of, I guess, the trainer. And then another thing that came about because of that, or maybe because I do so much aerobic stuff now, is I finally did the detective work, and like there was a while back when my training had been, it was maybe a few weeks before y'all got here, where I was noticing that my training was going well, and we were in a pretty high volume spot, and I was waking up in the middle of the night. But if I had like 3 slices of toast before bed, I could stay asleep. So like just eating carbs right before bed would help me stay asleep. So like, and I've literally never done that since I started knowing shit about nutrition. Like Bert always says, like we almost never eat a meal without protein, but I'd literally, I mean, I could have protein, but it's not, I would say I already had 170, 80 or whatever. For me as a small female, I'd be like, why am I not staying asleep? And it was literally just converting or adding just a high carby snack at night helped me sleep. I mean, it worked big time. Because I would notice that, like, if Brandon and I went out on a Saturday night and I would actually eat out at a restaurant, that'll knock me out, no problem. But if I had like my normal, which used to be a more protein heavy, lower carb, thinking like I don't need energy to sleep, but it was becoming a problem once I started being like a more aerobic, I guess a more metabolically expensive training regimen. Anyways.
I will say that I have noticed that if I have that big meal too late, I can't sleep. I have like night sweats because I think I'm still digesting.
The meat
and
sweats.
That's
funny. B gets those. He'll get like hot. Well, Bert, you do the same thing, right? Because you are both very carb responsive. Both you and Brandon. Like Brandon's chest will puff and he gets like hot.
Yeah. The nighttime sweats it's hard to balance that because you want enough to make it through the night, but at the same time, like you don't want to wake up in a puddle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll have like weird dreams sometimes too, you know.
Interesting.
I'll have all this food that I'm digesting, and I'm freaking fighting vampires, and I'm superhuman, and I've got the powers of it. I've got the powers of invisibility.
Do y'all, Brad, you said I drink Gatorade while I train. Do y'all have food calories while y'all train?
Yeah, about half the time.
Occasionally, not all the time, but yeah, I'll sometimes snack a little bit while I'm training.
Yeah,
especially if it's a long training session.
Going through the secondaries with something definitely helps. Yeah,
when they're all higher reps, yeah, for sure. That's when I always usually will have a little something.
Interesting. I'll take full-on breaks too for like a 15-minute like sit in the corner and eat something if I need to, and then get back into it.
Oh, we got a couch at my gym, just like perfect.
Nah.
Just head. Yeah.
Which one? Oh, like the rain tree?
No, the other one, the meaty one. Yeah.
The other one has like a eatery. I remember. I had to stop a training session when I was there visiting you to go get a sandwich.
Oh, that's
remember
right.
Because I didn't have any. I was eating Lunchables in the morning for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun time.
Yeah, even the gym in Reno, they've got a couple couches. They've got a little kind of like a little meeting room with a coffee maker, and yeah, it's not uncommon for me to go sit in there and just munch on something.
Yeah. All right, what are we talking about here?
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to kind of touch on real quickly, if it's okay with you guys, is significant others, because how many times do we see hashtag swole couple, you know, and how often swole mates, there you go. Swole mates. That's what I'm thinking of. Not swole couple. But yeah, I mean, really, I sometimes I kind of think about that, and I'm thinking about, it's kind of interesting that whole hashtag. And, you know, like I know that sometimes I'll see on Bert's Instagram when him and Leanna are doing something, you know, they'll put like hashtag power couple or, you know, something like that.
We don't put that.
No, not you. Not you.
Other people.
Yeah, good clarification. Other people do that. But as we were talking, I was thinking, I mean, even you and Brandon, Andrea, you guys have, you know, similar interests. And so I think about other avenues, like in my other job, it's not that uncommon for like nurses to start dating, you know, because they spend a lot of time together at work, working together, and sometimes they click, you know, or like sometimes a phlebotomist will start dating a transporter, or a doctor will start
like Grey's Anatomy,
dating,
yeah.
You know, they're really that different. I bet that happens.
It's hard for us. It's hard because, like, I mean, that first date, how do you explain the protein farts? It helps.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that.
Well, Yeah, and I think
workplace.
it's kind of like the job thing, or the way I see it, anyways, or something I think about. Right, is it's like the job thing in that people will
Exactly.
say like, "Well, my girlfriend will let me," or like if their significant other doesn't understand and they not use it, well, in my opinion, kind of an excuse, but it's like if you really care about this thing and you've picked a partner who, it's not that they have to care about that thing, but they have to understand that you care about that thing. Otherwise, that's a significant other's a pretty big fucking deal in your life. And if your training is an important deal in your life and those don't jive, man, that can be a huge barrier to happiness, athletics, never mind athletic success, but just your happiness in general. Because I don't think that, like, for example, you and Jamie, I know Jamie's done powerlifting or whatever too, but she doesn't like religiously train every day like you do. And I know Jeff and his wife, like, she recently started lifting, but she didn't for a long time, and it's no big deal. But Jamie and Susanna understand that this is important and that it has a place in y'all's lives, and it's not like, well, why aren't you home, or why are you at the gym so long, or And I know Bert and Leanna train together almost every day. And like Brandon and I, although we both, there's been times in our it's almost been 5 years where we do train together every day. But that's actually not the normal. Like, we both train and we might run into each other at the gym, but our main gyms aren't the same places. Like, he'll come to my gym sometimes. We'll go to the same gym sometimes. But I'd say if I train 6 days a week, I'm with B 2 or 3 of those times. And it doesn't, it's not a huge deal. So I think, I don't know, what am I trying to say? It matters. I think it matters, but I don't think some people feel the need to be with them, but they may need to be there all the time. I don't know, makes people have different needs.
I mean, some people kind of think that, that it kind of has to be that way. The only way you can set yourself up for success is to find that significant other in the same field as you. And I think sometimes that happens, but it's not like it has to happen, And I think when it does happen, it's just like anything else that's like the examples I just mentioned. It just kind of happens. You're in the same field. You guys just kind of click a little bit. But like you were saying, Jeff and I are pretty blessed. We have significant others that aren't in the field, and we're not going to sit there at night and talk about this paper, and we're not going to talk about what so and so did and what so and so accomplished. Doesn't mean that our relationship is any less than what it should be.
Ooh, and just really quickly, because there was a point in time in my life where I'm like, you know what, I would prefer that significant other to not be involved with this, simply because it's going to keep me balanced, right? And it's going to be nice to just have a little variety in the household, And now I think with Leanna, she's like the first person that's like she takes herself very serious as an athlete. And on top of that, like what she's going to school for, like has to do with what we're doing as well. And then she has like her own businesses that like they're all about this. And now it's gotten to the point where I think it's going to work out. But like it's like I'm so spoiled that like that's now a prerequisite almost. I feel like now that I've tried it, it's like no, it's like it's this works so well that it's a must, and I can't really see it happen any other way. And it's like with us, there's like we're like a minority within a minority, because there's fitness people, and then there's people who are like our little sector of fitness people. Like I remember when pre-Leanna, there was a time there where like all the fitness undies here were like, we gonna go out and hang out, and I'm like, nah, because you do this fitness thing, but you do it way different than the way I do, and there's no convincing you, and I'm not gonna be the guy to do that. I gotta go train, but yeah, no, like it's like my friends, like it's something that I've kind of picked out to be that way, and when I do see something that I can capitalize on, I'm like, you know what, this is gonna make me better it's gonna make me a better athlete, and then also like just what I do for a living now too. So it's going to make me better at that as well. Then like I'm gonna go investigate that and try to figure out that empty slot. I'm gonna do something with it.
Yeah. It's funny because although Brandon and I both competed in bodybuilding or whatever, Brandon didn't grow up as an athlete. He takes it seriously, but not the way I do. It's not as, he doesn't train as much as I do. He doesn't train the same way that I do. And I don't think he feels, I don't know. I feel like
That's pressure.
It's not a pressure on him. It's not this like big giant thing. If he misses a workout, like whenever he misses a workout, and like, I think where we connect better is on the non-bodybuilding things. Like I think that although we both do that, I don't think that's what makes us a good couple. I think it's the other things more so, like the creative things and the work thing. Because y'all know both of us. A lot of people listening don't know Brandon, but yes, he lifts, but his our balance is more, I think, in our personalities, our introvertedness, which I know listeners probably wouldn't believe about me, but I really like being alone. So does Brandon. We're very independent people, and we like to play a lot more. Like when we say play, ours is like, we're going to go do a photo shoot at the park for no fucking reason. Or I'm going to help him do this paint thing that he's doing. Or we're going to record this part of the song together. Like all this shit that like nobody really knows about. And like everyone thinks we're in the fitness and photography, but that's actually not where we connect very well. It's interesting.
Yeah. Although you will, if he ever like throws his belt across the gym because he misses a lift, like you'd find that hot. Don't lie.
I couldn't imagine.
What got into you?
I know. I couldn't imagine that. I could not imagine. He doesn't. That's the thing, though. Is like he's not. Not that he's not a passionate weightlifter, but like he doesn't. He would never get that angry to do that.
Yeah.
Things have made him that angry in the past, but it wouldn't be weight training. Whereas
it would not be
it would not be weight training. That's funny. But as far as the lifestyle design or whatever, like we keep talking about, it's like I think you just got to know what you need, right? And in a lot of people, like you said, Brad, it's like by happenstance they bump into each other, but is that really a good enough reason? Oh, I see you a lot, so let's date. Like, is that really you can't help it. But as long as they understand, I think you're set. But I do know that I haven't had a couple athletes on my roster where that's a really big pain point, that their significant other, maybe their significant other pays for their coaching, and now that they're not in season, they'll stop funding because they're like, you don't need a coach anymore, because they don't understand what this person's going through. Like I've had that happen before, or someone who's been married for 10 years and just started this, and their spouse kind of resents it. You know, it's, man, I don't know. I don't want to say like this sport in general. It's just this is one of those few sports where you can do it in your later years. Like I said, it's not like you just start fucking playing football in your late 30s or whatever. But with this, it's like it's so invasive to do a prep. And if you married someone and this was not a part of it to begin with, and now it is, that takes it's a big change.
Very much so. That's interesting you said that about UNB, because that is exactly how you guys mesh. It has the athlete thing, the lifting thing. It's a very small part of it, you know?
Yeah. Which people do that too. People think that that's how we met. I mean, it is how we met, right? Yeah. Because YouTube and YouTube bodybuilding in 2013, but that's not how we click, or that's not the reason. Like if he decided not to train, I don't think either of us would ever decide not to train because we care about our bodies and health. But like I said, when he wakes up one day and he's like, I can't train because of this work thing, I don't sit there and like judge him because I wouldn't do that. It's just like, okay, well, I'll see you at 5 when you finish your thing or whatever. It's not a thing. And I think, Bert, I'm thinking of a couple specifically where like it was so tight that they requested to be on the same lifting schedule even though that wasn't like optimal for their success, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like there's the other way where they're so dependent on each other's.
Yeah, and I'm like, you guys are like have very different situations, and they were willing to take the hit, and I guess there's something romantic about that. But someone's getting screwed, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Someone's
yeah,
gains are getting the short end of the
yeah.
stick there if you're both. Yeah, but that's the difference though between like, the athlete and the exerciser. But like you said, I think a lot of people find that romantic. Like an average gym goer, like if their girlfriend's like, I'm going to start training, they're like, oh yeah, come to the gym with me, and it's like, should they be doing what you're doing right now?
Me and Leanna are different sides of the room like half the time. Like it's
Yeah.
fortunate that we're like doing the same thing, and like people don't get that,
Yeah.
because she's not doing all the booty things that all the girls are doing. Like, well, she's not doing booty. She should be with the guy because the guys train everything else. It's not the booty. And it's like, yeah.
If she's not doing donkey kicks, like what is she doing here?
Exactly.
We always hate on. I feel so bad. We always hate on the donkey kicks on this podcast.
Context. Yeah,
They're
our
real.
listeners understand why we, within certain situations, it's
or the
overused.
Remember that video Rizzo sent us where like the girl's on a bench on her stomach under the Smith machine doing backwards kicks upward on the Smith? Yes.
That was
Brad saw the double leg same time reverse Smith press. That's how you grow the booty.
If it takes that much effort to set up your stage, it's probably not worth it.
Find an easier way to do the whole hip extension thing.
There's no other way to extend your hips. No other way.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I will say, getting back to training couples, I've actually had a few, couples on my roster that wanted to do that, that wanted to train together. Now, like you said, typically their general population, or they don't have specific athletic goals,
In which case, right, that might be enriching their relationship and still getting,
Yeah. And in very rare cases, like in the case of these two, they were both power lifters.
Oh, good.
And so they could very similar, training, as far as what they were doing on any given day. Now, there were minor circumstances. One, we needed to do more hip extensions because they needed more glute activation and whatnot. But still, the bulk of their session was together. And then, that is kind of romantic for a person. But on the flip side, one thing that Bert said here recently that kind of triggered something in my mind is when you do find that swole mate, right? And say that swole mate is funding your coaching for that bikini competition or the bodybuilding competition or whatever, and they split up, there's a lot of complication when that happens. We've experienced that before too. I'm
trying to think of other. Oh, go ahead.
A sponsored athlete splits up with the athlete that is in charge of the sponsorship and things like that.
Yeah.
Complication happens. So that's why, like Bert said, it's nice to have your significant other as far, detached from what we do as possible.
Yeah. What else is part of lifestyle? Jobs, significant others, how you spend your moolah, time, your priorities.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? Everyone needs to make their own pyramid.
Yeah.
Their priority pyramid.
Exactly.
And how you decorate the house. The wife's nice enough to let me turn our spare bedroom into a gym.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, and I forget too that there's, because again, we're so spoiled, that, like if I had a husband and 2 kids also in that whatever situation, like, would our family financial situation allow for me to have a coach and the gym that has the equipment I want and the squat shoes that feel the best and the whatever, I forget that a lot of people, like, once they're married or a couple and you said one's paying for that, or just in general, like your financial everything is together. Then you have to worry about, like, is this, does he want to buy my $800 or contribute to my $800 figure suit this year? Man, that's a whole can of worms.
Yeah. Well, I think the point to it is, like, if you care about this, like, there's things you can do to make your outcomes more consistent and better, and often they don't have to be as crazy as like some people think, and you're not crazy for thinking in that way.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's just what you like. Like even when I go back, like that was still my best streak when it came to like bodybuilding. When I go back to ages 20 to 23, It's like that kid wanted it so bad. But there was things that weren't ideal. Like, not that this probably was a good thing, like looking back now, but I think my first 8 years of lifting, I spent a total of $400 on supplements.
Yeah.
And that was it. And this is like whey protein too. And that's because I just didn't have the funds for that.
Yeah.
But at the time I'm like, it'd be really cool if I could get some supplements up in here
Yeah.
to help out the situation, but it just wasn't possible. But what I did have, I would try to rearrange, and for the most part, I was very like respectful and like it wasn't invasive to the people I loved, but it was definitely weird in my own thing, and most people just didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is all the more reason why I want to have a podcast on supplements, because I think that would be a fascinating subject. Yeah, because I was the same way. I would put supplements sometimes before more important things like food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there, Bert. It's like, well, you know what? I need these supplements. Maybe I should take a second out on my house.
Right. Well, and that's, I know. And that's, like when I think about in grad school, I always had all my supplements or whatever, but I would go to bed at 10 and wake up at 5 a.m. to get my training in, where it's like the best supplement would have been just fucking sleep. Like, that would have been the best thing, which I couldn't do anyways because grad school. But, yeah, that's the cheapest one out of all of it, I guess. That it's become like absurdly important to me. Like, I never thought I would be that person, but when everything jives so well, like how you guys, like on a small scale, when you said, oh, when we stayed with you and we had this schedule, it really felt good, and so I'll carry that forward. Like, now that I've had these 2 years of building my life in this way, when it doesn't go perfect, I hate how sensitive I am to it. Which, again, it's a good thing. I know my body, but I also know when it's like, fuck, it's because you only slept 8 hours because you forgot to turn your phone on Do Not Disturb, or you turned it off of Do Not Disturb, and that text came in, and you only had 8 hours, and because heavy clean and front squat day, you should have had your whatever 10. It's a blessing and a curse, like I always say, to know yourself so well, or to be in the position to have everything go so well, so that when it doesn't, it feels like a big hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I shouldn't have gone down
I think we hit it all, though.
Yeah, you did a good summary, Bert, and then I kept talking. Big surprise.
Yeah, we can just like edit it and like paste that at the end, and we're good.
It would all flow. We'll auto-regulate. We'll just flip those two around.
We're not going to do that. Let's be for real. Brad, give your summary, and then we'll stop it.
Yeah.
Gosh, my summary. I'm terrible with summaries.
That's not true.
Berto can do it so eloquently, but I think like Berto said.
Yes.
Do what makes you happy. Do what works. Keep an open mind, and kind of know that you can probably make it happen. It may not be super ideal. It may not be perfectly like we've got it, and you can probably at least chip away at it, and figure out little ways that are towards making it ideal.
Yeah, and I think moral of the story is we for people who know we've been athletes for a long time, but especially those who think might be right. I don't know. They think Berto's the god of natural bodybuilding. He just said that next month he's changing something big. So I think to show you can always change it, right? There's many thousands of people in this world who think if you asked him 6 months ago, does Bert have this figured out? They'd be like, yeah, he has everything. It's perfect. And Bert's here saying well, I'm going to make this really big shift next month. And I've been doing this shit for 20 years. I think not 20, but it's just that know that you can always change, and your life's always going to change. Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't have all the time freedom he has, but Bert decided this a couple months ago, but because he has Skype's booked for 2 months, he couldn't make the change for 2 months, but he's making it work.
That's the only thing,
Yeah. It's just, it can always get better and it can always change, and if it doesn't work out, then just do it again. Okay. Good talk, y'all.
Hey everybody, it's Eric Helms. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. As you know, at 3DMJ, we promote evidence-based approaches to the lifting community. If that's something you want to dive deeper into, I'd encourage you to check out my research review, Monthly Applications in Strength Sport, or for short, MASS. This is a review that myself, Dr. Mike Zerdos, and Greg Nuckols put out every month. We cover the latest research publications that are applicable to strength and physique athletes, or anyone who's looking to get stronger or improve their body comp. Our content is in both written and video format. For more information on how to subscribe, check out 3dmusclejourney.com/mass. That's 3dmusclejourney.com/MASS for further details. Thanks for tuning in.